She said in her tweet, my prediction of the fallout of the FBI raiding Mar-a-Lago is that we're probably going to see a bunch of MAGA Republicans call to abolish the FBI, which that tweet to me seems very like unnecessary. Like if you're just tweeting that just to predict something, that seems completely unnecessary to do. You don't really need to tweet that, right? Like what was the purpose of that tweet? I think she'll tell you that it was just that she was going to call out their hypocrisy on it, when I think in reality she is defending the FBI, and she's like, oh, here we go, they're going to try to call for the abolishment of the FBI over Trump. It's like, yeah, they are, and we should welcome that in that radicalization, because any radicalization on that front is good, and we should welcome that and take that to our advantage. I don't think that this is exactly the tweet. There is another tweet, but like I said, it's been deleted, so I'm pretty sure that means Jimmy's quote tweet is also deleted. But there's another one that says, when lefties cheer on the FBI, you know they're serious about being a Democrat, which there's context to provide to that, as they have increased the military budgets and police budgets in general and for the Capitol Police since January 6th.
Yeah.
And so Nina Turner's response is, when Jimmy Dore knocks a black progressive woman for pointing out conservatives' hypocrisy when it comes to the FBI, you know he's serious about being anti-black and protecting conservatives. And so this is the tweet that is getting everyone to talk and to debate and to talk about this issue. We're not talking about Jimmy Dore and Nina Turner in a sense of like feeding into any drama. While I do think like the whole idea of talking about like things that are going on with our political figures isn't necessarily always drama. Like this is stuff we need to talk about because this is propaganda. I mean, this is literally like impacting the minds of lefties in general who do support Nina Turner and who are jumping on this train thinking that she is getting somewhere here, and she's not. So I think that it is very important for us to talk about these things, but we're also going to talk about the fact that like, yes, the FBI should be abolished. Yes, it has a very anti-black history, and yes, Democrats have a very long history of supporting the FBI. Fred Hampton and Asada Shakur and Angela Davis were all attacked under the FBI under a Democrat. So there's a lot of history there. And there's a lot of history when it comes to the Democratic Party supporting the FBI as well as the Republican Party. And I think now that conservatives are joining into the camp of a defund and abolishment idea, we should welcome them into that regardless of the reason. And take that as an opportunity to radicalize them onto why they should support it and why we support it, and trying to get us to see that common ground there. So yeah, that's kind of what's happened. Jimmy had some responses to it. A lot of people did call her out for this. You know, there was a lot of people that were kind of pissed off at what she said. Someone tweeted, you're running cover for one of the most anti-black administrations in recent history, and you're excusing the political weaponization of a domestic terror organization, the FBI, with a history of an anti-black activity that includes kidnap, rape, torture, and murder. But sure, blame Jimmy Dore, which is very true. And someone also tweeted, I like that MAGA people hate the FBI. I also hate the FBI. Like, right. So everyone is like on the same page, right? Like, you know, we should all be supporting them in this radicalization, coming over to our side of not supporting the police and getting them to see like the defund movement as a very valuable thing. There is something that I was watching RBN earlier, and I don't remember the exact statistic where it's from, but there is a statistic that they had like recently polled conservatives about defunding the police, and they're much more for it than they even were in 2020. I think it was like the majority of conservatives now are in support of defunding the police, which is wild and something that we should take advantage of. Absolutely. So
believe that.
There's a lot of debate there. But yeah, I think we want to talk about first like how this relates to what has gone on with the FBI in recent history, and why this is so fucking stupid for her to call him anti-black over one specific issue. So do you have any first initial thoughts, and then I'll give mine, and then we can watch. We have some videos that we'd like to react to as well. So
yeah, this is definitely, it follows a trend as far as Jimmy goes, where like we're gonna show it. Like 4 or 5 years ago, Nina Turner was like, I love Jimmy Dore. He says things that I can't say, blah, 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 blah. And then now, because she's a part of an institution that it holds up the Democratic Party, and it kind of pushes this narrative that protects people and the people in power. she's completely flipped. And we all knew this was going to happen. Or, well, the people paying attention knew this was going to happen when she joined TYT. I mean, we were even saying that stuff like this is going to happen when she was running for Congress. And was that 2020? Yeah, she was running then. She said, like, I'm going to fight for certain things. She said it to Mike Figueredo in an interview. She was like, yeah, you everybody, you like all the lefties, you're going to be disappointed with me at some point, because she basically was saying out front, I'm not going to do what you want me to do. I'm not going to go in there and raise hell and go scorched earth. I'm going to play the game, and I'm going to pick and choose what I stand for and what I'm silent about. So none of this is shocking. I will say they're getting more brazen with it, though, especially when it comes to Jimmy. Just saying just a lie that he's anti-black. Like, that's not, she doesn't have proof of that. She doesn't have evidence of that. And if you were to hold her to it, I mean, she wouldn't have anything to back that claim up. It really is her playing identity politics, which she's a part of the Democratic Party. This is what Kamala Harris would do to a critic. This is what a lot, like AOC, uses her identity against conservatives or leftists that attack her. She's like, oh, you just want to have sex with me. She's literally said that before. Like, because I'm a woman, I'm an attractive woman. You don't actually disagree with me, or you don't have, what you're saying isn't credible. You just, something about my identity makes your skin crawl. Yeah, it's ridiculous, because they can control the narrative because they're in power. So therefore, they can say, oh, this person's not saying anything correct. They're just racist or sexist or homophobic. And so the FBI is great, because this person here, what they said doesn't even matter.
She does like, go on to say in a later tweet or in a tweet thread that it has everything to do with him using anti-black talking points against her multiple times in the past. And also, like, she doesn't give specifics, but she also like points out the Rittenhouse opinion that he had, that Rittenhouse was defending himself, which, like, if you go back and look at that, like, Jimmy was only talking about that in the blatant mischaracterization in the media that they had about the Rittenhouse case. They really did act like he just like walked in there and like started shooting people.
He was also talking more in like the legal sense of it too. What a courtroom and how they're gonna portray it, and why he's ultimately probably gonna be found innocent.
Yes. So yes, he was doing that from both sides, which, I mean, like, like, U.S. law is fucking stupid, right? Like, I don't really care about the U.S. law.
It's ridiculous.
I don't think that what he did was okay. I don't agree with Jimmy on that point, but I also think that that doesn't necessarily mean that just because he has one, bad take that he is anti-black.
That wasn't coming from an anti-black perspective, though. That was coming from a maybe somewhat misguided take, and I agree. I disagree with Jimmy as well.
I mean, I think there is something to be said about the fact that he did go in with a gun trying to protect private property, and killed a bunch of black people who were trying to stand up against the state. Yes, I do think that there is some racist, obviously, tension there, and some undertones there.
There definitely
and
is.
And
that's where I disagree.
And I think that's why Jimmy pointing that out can be a little bit problematic, and yes, can be like a really bad take. Do I think it makes him anti-black? No. I think like largely he's had, especially when it comes to the police, though, he's always consistent with the police. He's been consistent for years about the police. He's one of the only white commentators for a very long time that was saying that we should defund the police or get rid of the police. He's always talked about how much he hates the police. His dad was a police officer, was he not?
Believe so, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, he's always talked about that. He's always been very principled on those issues. He's always principled on foreign policy. He talks about us not being involved in Syria. He talked about the bombing of Somalia. He talked about Libya. He talked about all of these African countries, these black countries. He still does, that are being absolutely brutalized by the U.S. military. And that doesn't make him, or that makes him anti-black. Like, that one take makes him anti-black. I think a lot of lefties are just like I care so much fucking more about how he feels about policy and how things are actually genuinely affecting people than what he says about fucking the FBI and partnering with right-wing conservatives about defunding the police, or calling out Nina Turner, which, by the way, Nina Turner his tweet wasn't even anti-black. Even if you disagree with his tweet, even if you think that Nina Turner should be allowed to call out the hypocrisy of right-wing Democrats, which I think there's no hypocrisy there. Because even Jimmy says, like, you don't call people out when they're wrong. You don't call out hypocrisy when
Right.
people are right. You call them out when they're wrong.
I was about to say that. That's
And,
where
like,
he's 100% correct on this
yes.
issue, and that's what is like the checkmate, like shut the
And
fuck up,
nothing
Nina
that
kind
he
of thing
said,
is
like him saying when you see progressives supporting the FBI, you know that they're a Democrat at this point. Like nothing about that is anti-black. He says nothing about the historical precedent of. He only said something on the tweet that she was talking, which is now again since deleted, about like Fred Hampton and MLK and Asada Shakur and all of these different people. I don't know if those are the specific. I know at least Fred Hampton was in the Black Panthers, but there were a few others that I'm missing that she had included on there, and that's what he responded to. But he wasn't responding and disagreeing with the fact that the FBI did those things and it was wrong. He was disagreeing with the fact that she's using that as like a, well, checkmate libs or checkmate right wingers, like, you know, you're
like,
too late
I've
on this
heard-
issue and you're not doing it for the right reasons. Therefore, we shouldn't all band together and defund the FBI. Well, then you're not serious about black people having a material gain from defunding or abolishing the FBI. You're not serious about that. So I think that says more about you being anti-black than anyone else, in my opinion. Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, even if you disagree with Jimmy Dore, he didn't say anything anti-black. So that was something that she had sitting in her pocket and her TYT friends had sitting in their pocket, because I just was on her Twitter and they already have a video out how Jimmy Dore was destroyed by Nina Turner, and she tweeted it out, tagging Jank and fucking Anna in it. So they had that sitting in their pocket. What are we going to do the next time that he calls us out? What are we going to say? And they had, since the Anna Jimmy beef that happened in 2021, we had the Kyle Rittenhouse trials later on that year of last year. And that's what they decided to use against. Like, they've had this sitting in their pocket. There's no way that they didn't.
No, I mean, yeah, I'm sure they have a lot of more.
It just doesn't make any sense.
The thing that irritates me is all he called her out on had nothing to do with race or identity or anything like that. And I have another point to make after this too. But all he said basically was, hey, you're kind of being an ass right now because everybody's in agreement with you. Conservatives are saying, right wingers are saying, defund the FBI, get rid of them. They're corrupt. They are just a political tool for the elites and both parties to use against each other and against the entire planet. So what's the point of having them? And you're going to sit there as a leftist and say, oh, no, fuck you. I actually like the FBI, because if you don't like something, that means I have to inherently like it because you're gross and I'm right about everything and I'm the savior of the universe. Like, that's just the attitude that they give off. And so, yeah, Jimmy has every right to call that out. And I think it's very underhanded. I think it's very gross that she was like, oh, well, you're being anti-black right now. It's like, no, he's not. It has nothing to do with that. And in fact, supporting the FBI is anti-black. That's the most anti-black shit that you can possibly do. I mean, they murdered Fred Hampton and they shot his pregnant girlfriend at the time. I was just reading about it a couple hours ago. Like, they brutally murdered him. They tried getting MLK to kill himself by blackmailing him for years. I mean, they
put out wanted. Angela Davis was on like the FBI's most wanted list for doing absolutely no crime at all. She was just a communist and a black liberation leader, and so she was persecuted. Malcolm X was also persecuted and killed by the FBI. You had Asad Shakur, who was framed for murder by the FBI and had to flee to Cuba because of that, and is still in Cuba to this day because of that. So there's like, the list goes on and on. The FBI is not a good institution. They never have been.
It proves how unserious these people are about everything, because I've heard RBN say this. You can't, if you're organizing, you're trying to organize an entire population of people, an entire society. Say you're wanting to unionize a factory, right? You don't line up the people that come through the door like your fellow workers and go, oh, but before this, who did you vote for in the last election? How do you feel about this issue or that issue? Oh, well, no, you're not welcome here. Go away. That's not how this works. It's not how organizing works. Effective organizing anyway. But yeah, it's deeply unserious and disingenuous, and they know it. They're smart enough to know. They know what they're doing. And that's really where I start. That makes me question everything. That makes me question every institution, every person in power, because it's like, if the lefties are doing shit like this, then like, who knows what's really going on behind the scenes? Who knows who they're sitting down in back rooms with, making deals with? The worst kinds of people, I can promise you that. I've also heard RBN say this. Every single person that Nina mentioned in that tweet, Angela Davis, Malcolm X, MLK, Fred Hampton, they would welcome people
Especially
on
Fred
the opposite side coming to him
Fred
and being like,
Hampton.
we should abolish the FBI. Fred Hampton would be the last person in the fucking universe to be like, nope, get away from me. Don't want to work with you. He'd be like, oh, hell yeah. Really glad you saw the light, my friends. And he'd welcome him in. And then he'd start planting seeds and picking their brain on other things that they might be bad at.
Right.
That's how this works. But no,
it's so weird too, because like, I 2 points. It's so weird because you'd think that they always like tote this, like, we shouldn't like form alliances with right-wing authoritarians and stuff. It's like, okay, first of all, that's what you're fucking doing as a political, like, if she was in Congress, that's what she would be fucking doing right now. Like, it's seen as completely acceptable for them to have like bipartisan bills and be in these like bipartisan alliances, and that's like that's a good thing to them, right? It's a good thing that they're, even if they have to compromise on some issues, the fact that they got the larger policy passed of something, right? Like the CARES Act is an example of that. Like, you literally partner with right-wing authoritarians on that to fucking have the biggest upward transfer of wealth in human history. But when we try to fucking partner with conservatives on defunding the fucking police, abolishing the police, abolishing the FBI,
we don't even try to partner with politicians. We try to partner with our neighbors who are a little right wing.
Exactly.
Like,
the working
fuck
class.
off,
Like,
dude.
none of us have.
Right.
It matters more that y'all are teaming up with Republicans and right wingers to do shit that's not good for the American public. Because you know, every single time they team up together, they're doing something. They're never teaming up to do something good for you. Never teaming up to do something good for you. But we're not allowed to team up with the working class on Medicare for all, abolishing the FBI really if they come on to that.
That's the main thing. Yeah.
And furthermore, if people, you know, when it was like 2020 era, right, and people were coming to their senses with the George Floyd situation, like, I do believe in defunding the police, or this is ridiculous. And you saw so many people like changing their minds on these things. Like, we have to call out the police now, and we have to like push for reform. And so many people not voting for Trump because of that situation. And so many people who did vote for Trump previously or are a conservative were changing their mind as a result of 2020. And would they have told those people to fuck off and to not come to their side? No, absolutely not. But that's when it's politically expedient for them to do so. Now it's not, right? Because it's a right-wing cause at this point with Mar-a-Lago and Trump. It's involving Trump, so they can't, as lefties, as Democrats, come out and say that it's a good thing that conservatives are saying this, because it hurts every fucking establishment Democrat in the party. It hurts their image. So they're not going to do that. But if it was any other situation, if someone came up, if they were hearing rhetoric that it's like a bunch of right wingers have seen George Floyd die, are thinking it's unacceptable, a lot of police officers are quitting their jobs, they'd be like, this is exactly what we need, which is not wrong, but they're not going to do that in this instance, right? Like, that's what happened in 2020, and now it doesn't apply apparently to today.
Yeah, I mean, that's why everything feels so staged about this. Everything feels so choreographed, and everything just feels too perfect, because, and this is what they do with everything. The FBI, the CIA, and I'd say the police state in general, is their credibility has been just kind of slashed away, especially in the last 5 or 6 years, to the American public, to the point where one wrong politician being attacked by them has half of the population wanting them to be institutionally basically just pounded into non-existence. So it feels like what they do is they have to move the Overton window, right? So, hey, let's attack Trump, literally using the FBI. Conservatives will be like, oh my God, get rid of the FBI. And that's where the Democrats and the lefties come in. They're like, no, the FBI is great and we love the FBI. And here's why. Blah, 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 blah. Well, then Trump is probably going to be our next president. Spoiler alert. So then he's going to come in and guess what he's going to do when he's in power? He's going to say, I love the FBI. He's going to say we need to fund the police state more, yada, yada, yada. Those Democrats that were just talking about how much they love the FBI already showed their asses. So it's not like their career would be in jeopardy by further supporting the police state, the FBI, the CIA. So they're going to follow Trump. And then the conservatives that voted Trump in are going to do whatever he says. So then now both parties are going to have to agree with Trump, which
and
Trump
even
will
worse,
hold up the FBI and he will say the CIA is awesome and blah, 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 blah.
even worse, though, is that you would have, I don't give a fuck what anyone in power thinks about the FBI. But even worse is that they have Nina Turner, who is influencing every regular day people who should be banding together to abolish the FBI, to support the FBI. And that's what they're moving the Overton window about. It doesn't matter what anyone in Washington, D.C. is pushing or believing or whatever in the fuck their platform is. The fact is that you now have people moving to the lefties, moving to the right about abolishing the FBI or abolishing the police or defunding the police. And that's the harmful situation there. But
that's how they make us public enemy number one again in the future, though, is because right now, because shit gets real when the conservatives are angry and they're like, the FBI doesn't want them to also be mobilized, because when it's just the left in the country that's mobilized, they know that they can crush us because of all the infighting and how ununited we are and all that shit. So they want us to think that, oh, well, maybe we can team up with the conservatives, and then Trump's going to get in power and all the conservatives will be like, nope, we're right back to supporting daddy and the FBI and the police state. And then we're going to be the only ones in the country again who want to abolish the FBI.
Not even just the infighting, though. Like, we just have a very fucked up way of organizing. Like, we genuinely believe in our leaders and we think that we have saviors, and so do they. And really, their only leader and savior in the fucking Republican Party is Donald Trump. Donald Trump will say and do whatever. So it doesn't matter. Like, they will go against any fucking Republican. The right wing will go against any Republican that disagrees with Trump, any Democrat who disagrees with Trump, any establishment person who disagrees with Trump. Like, it doesn't matter if they're a Republican or they're a Democrat, but we will fucking simp for Democrats. Any fucking Democrat. We will simp for. Some people on the left will simp for.
Think about the tool that Donald Trump and the services he provides for the establishment. He's the biggest cult of personality, definitely in American political history. I'm not going to say world history because, wow, that'd be a very big claim to make. But whatever he says, whatever plight he has, his supporters are just, boom, we're there for you. We got your back, dude. And they use that to their advantage, like they're doing now, to try to build up and basically restore the FBI's honor, basically. And it's going to work. Yeah. It's going to work. Because they're evil geniuses.
It does feel very planned in the sense that, like, yeah, you do have a lot of lefties now who are going to support the FBI and are going to support the police state more when, again, this, like, they've been ramping up the police state to prepare for people to revolt any fucking day now. Yeah. They know that the economy's fucked. They know that we're living in a depression, calling it a recession. And they know
barely calling it a recession.
Yeah. And they know that, people are on the verge of actually doing something about it. And so they're ramping up the police state and they're ramping up all these things. And now that we have lefties who are like in support of the FBI and all of that, then it's easy. It's easy. That's what they want. It's easy for them to, now they don't have to worry about it because we're not going to go after it and we're going to support the. So yeah, they are doing that. They are preparing for that. Furthermore, I think it's just like telling of Nina Turner in and of herself and of the Democratic Party and just the left and the old left in general. The old left, the boutique left, is very much so a part of like the professional managerial class. They are all college educated, graduated, mostly white. cisgender, some are trans, some are queer people who I even know who are so fucking ingrained in the Democratic Party and are so interested in civility politics that that is really what that Nina Turner tweet is about. It is about Jimmy Dore not being as civil and as nice and as PC as he should be. And so that's what we're going to call him,
and he's also
anti-black
a white.
on.
He's also a
It
white
doesn't
man.
matter that he's not, that he's pro-black policy, right? Like Medicare for all would affect black people more than it would affect white people. Like Medicare for all is an extremely explicit pro-black liberation policy. Same with ending student debt, which Jimmy Dore supports. Same with ending war abroad, which Jimmy Dore supports, as black and brown people are being absolutely destroyed and brutalized by the U.S. Jimmy Dore has always supported defunding the police, getting rid of police. Jimmy Dore has reported on socialist movements being raided by the FBI. He has reported on police brutality multiple times when other shows, aka TYT, and other white YouTubers like the Majority Report and fucking the Humanist Report, Breaking Points, Kyle Kalinske, that they won't even fucking touch and cover. But you have this professional managerial class who is so concerned with civility politics. And I can say this because, one, I went to college, and so I know what people are like. And this happened to us. I'm saying this because this happened to us in NAP, right? Like when we came out and we said, the squad is fucking frauds and no one should fucking believe in anything that they fucking do from the start of Force the Vote. And we're very principled on that point. We literally, that's all that we said was that they didn't support Force the Vote and that they were frauds and that they weren't doing what they were supposed to do and that they weren't fighting for us. And we needed to push them. And as a result of that, we had people calling us racist, white supremacists, and sexist because we criticized the squad. And the point is that when you, and one of my fellow organizers at the time, they were talking to me about this issue because I was struggling to get through it. I was thinking in my mind, like, you know, I did something wrong and I'm fucking racist and I'm like spiraling in my head right now, right? And they were like, white people in college spaces love to weaponize racism because they really truly feel like they are above certain people because they are white and they are above their other like poor white counterparts who they've gotten an education.
They also think they're
above
incapable
the ladder.
of being racist too, and that they don't have biases in their own head.
The college bubble really does. I don't mean to like, I don't think it's a conservative thing. I don't think that there's like, I don't think it's as serious as conservatives like to say it of like, oh, like college is like liberal indoctrination. I don't think it's that serious, but I do think like colleges are more, are definitely more liberal than what they are in general.
They're neoliberal.
But they're neoliberal. Like they're very like, we're into the civility politics. We're into the, like, you have to say the right thing and do the right thing and be polite and be civil and not be mad and do about things the right way, how we want you to do it based on the procedure. Like it's all very
capitalism can be saved if it had more humanity involved in it.
Yeah. See that, but that's the nonprofit industrial complex as well. Like that is the epitome of the nonprofit industrial complex. Like it's filling the gaps for the government because the government doesn't do anything right, except we're also emulating the same capitalist values that the government does, and not really doing anything to really affect change. So there's a lot that's to that. My point is that I think Nina Turner is appealing to that professional managerial class because so much of the old left is comprised of these white, very rich, college educated liberals now. That is what the Democratic Party is. And so that's what Nina Turner is, touting to when she talks about Jimmy Dore. Furthermore, and so it is a class issue, right? Too, it is a class issue because we're talking about like, well, we can do these things with rich white men in power and be we can partner with Joe Biden, who's the biggest anti-black fucking politician in modern history, one of them, and we can do that because he has power and he's a rich white man. But how dare you partner with your working class, racist, conservative neighbors who are now talking about defunding the police or defunding the FBI? Right. So it is a class issue as well. And they're using that again. It's a very civility politics issue in my mind. Because that's all she really has. Like she didn't have any substantive criticism of Jimmy Dore. She's mad that he says certain things that she doesn't like, and that he's mean, and he says stuff that is mean or is anti-black, as she likes to say it. So yeah, she has a lot of issues with that, I think, but I also think that's largely like the old left's goal and job is to use civility politics as a way to shut down the new left. So yeah. Anyway, are you ready to get into these?
Hell yeah.
Okay.
I was born ready.
So the first one I'm going to play is Jimmy Dore's response to Nina Turner on the Convo couch. So let me go ahead and share my screen here.
Nina also lost her election in 2020 because she thought she could work with the with the moderate vote instead of like the left vote in Ohio, because you know how they say like in those red or purple states, like, oh my god, if you say that you're a socialist and you actually advocate for leftism, they're basically gonna just be like, no, we're gonna go vote for this far right, almost Nazi Republican. And so she was like, that's literally why she lost the election. Or she lost her primary. She didn't even
get the general.
She didn't even get to the general election.
Yeah. Absolutely.
If she got to the general election, she would have destroyed that. They're just idiots, man. And that's why I think they know what they're doing, because I'm going to run for Congress, lose, and then go on TYT and have a complete identity shift so that I can run for Congress again.
They do know exactly what they're doing. They do know exactly what they're doing. I'm going to play a video too that Jimmy Dore posted about that, because she's very clearly says, like, Jimmy says things that I can't say. She's always been someone who's going to play the right game, and she's going to play the right game when she can and be as political for her political career as possible. I think there's also, like Jimmy was saying, that she's a part of a police foundation. Like, she's on the board for a policing foundation. Like, I've
heard some really bad things that we don't.
Her son,
I don't have the receipts for it.
Her son, I believe, is a police officer, because I used to listen to her podcast, and she was talking about defunding the police. I think one time I was listening to it, and she was talking about how her son or her nephew or someone in her family that is like, I believe it's her son, is a police officer.
We might have to do a deep dive on Nina, like, in an episode coming up.
I'm gonna watch. Let's watch this video, and I'm gonna do a little Google really quick about that.
Sounds good. Hit the Googs, baby.
Yeah. It was very disappointing to see her. You can disagree with my criticism, but you got to call someone a racist because they criticized you, and that just shows you that I hit a nerve. She knows she's a Democrat, and this is all first of all, that tweet of hers calling out their right wing's hypocrisy about the FBI. You call out their hypocrisy when they're in the wrong. You don't call out their hypocrisy when they're in the right. You welcome them over to the correct side. If they now start to come on board for Medicare for all, are you going to then flip them off and call them assholes because they used to say they were against it? That's not how this is supposed to work. So now that it's happened to the Republicans or the MAGA, the Trump supporters, now they get it. They're like, oh, the FBI is corrupt. So you should welcome them. You shouldn't then keep flipping them off and shitting on them. And that's all the Democrats have. And that's what Nina Turner is. She's a Democrat. That's what her future is. That's what this is about. Her career in the Democratic Party. This is about her career. This isn't about any principle, because if it was about a principle, she would be welcoming those people who are criticizing the FBI instead of flipping them off and then doing the cheapest bullshit, hiding behind identity politics. Oh my God, calling out and calling hey, you want to disagree with me about the FBI? Let's disagree about it. But she can't do it because she knows she's in the wrong. And so she does that thing. She's the pits, man.
Does she realize who her president is, what administration she worked for? And he says, you're running a cover for one of the most anti-Black administrations in recent history. You're excusing the political weaponization of a domestic terror organization, the FBI, with a history of anti-Black activity that includes kidnapping, rape, torture, and murder. But sure, blame Jimmy Dore. And I mean, amazing tweet out there too as well. I mean, Joe Biden, who wrote the crime, and you want to come over there and says, because Jimmy says that you're being critical of the FBI, that he's anti-black. I mean, is not this administration one of the most anti-black administrations that we've ever known?
Well, shit.
No lies detected.
No.
But yeah, I mean that really is truly what it is too. It's like I have never seen Nina Turner like say that she supports abolishing the police or even defunding the police. I could be wrong on that. I have yet to fact check myself on that, but I've never explicitly say her called
tacitly supported defunding during the Black Lives Matter movement. But that
I still
would
even question that. I still even question that because
everybody was. That's the only reason I'm
Joe Biden. Well, Joe Biden
Perhaps.
was not. Joe Biden was not, and she was in Bernie's camp, and Bernie was campaigning for Joe Biden. So that's why I'm skeptic of that. Like, I even think. Also, I did some Googling, and her son is a police officer, and her husband is a retired police officer. So yeah, quote from her: "Good police officers prop up bad police officers, and they won't talk about what's wrong within the system. We have good officers, out there, and they call out their sisters and brothers who may be doing things wrong." So she's never been in support of like defunding any police institution. She has 2 fucking family members who are involved in those institutions. May not be the FBI, but the FBI is a branch of that type of work and institution. So it absolutely is.
The FBI tells all these police departments what to do anyway. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, it just doesn't make any sense. It's like, it's one way that, again, it's like, and then I also saw a fucking tweet about this too, where someone was like, cue the racist fucking comments of white people calling Nina Turner anti-black now because, and it's like, no, maybe like white people shouldn't call a black person anti-black, but also,
if you wanted to, though, I guess you wouldn't be too wrong, would you?
I mean, white people or other like
probably shouldn't.
That person or Nina Turner wouldn't have an issue with any white person calling Candace Owens anti-black.
That's so true.
So like,
that's a good
it's
point.
only with people that you fucking like. Same with AOC. Same with fucking Ilhan Omar, Cory Bush.
Mm-hmm.
You can talk about like you wouldn't fucking talk to any liberal about saying awful shit about Candace Owens. But you get them up in arms about people that they enjoy and they like. So there was that. And there was also someone who I saw reply to Nina's tweet and was like, oh my gosh, Nina, this Jimmy Dore tweet is violence. And it was satire. If you know, you know.
Did she respond seriously
to
it?
No. But someone was like, but then the girl who made that tweet thread was like, oh, and here we go. Cue the angry black woman tweets. And it was like, you didn't get it. You didn't get it. You didn't get it. It's a comment on AOC. For anyone who doesn't know, AOC during Force the Vote was like talking about how everyone criticizing her, it was violence against her because we were like,
but if you went and told Trump to basically, if you went and told Trump to go fuck himself, or if you went and told Trump's daughter to go fuck herself, AOC would be like, ha, that's the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. But when we did it to her, that was violence.
Yeah.
She literally said that it's violence. And they like words on an app were violence.
Right. So yeah, that was
They're
just
the most
funny.
exhausting
I wanted to say that because that was just really funny that tweet went right over that person's head. It was so fucking funny. But
do you want to show the video now of her loving on Jimmy Dore?
Sure.
Or did you want to talk about something else?
Nope. I have another video too. So
oh shoot. My bad. Do that one first.
Nope, we're good.
All right. I love that video. That was the first thing I thought of when I saw that she called him out. I was like, he played that at the live show he went to in Chicago. A whole video. He was bragging about it at the time. He was like, yeah, me and Nina Turner are like best friends. And he played the video for
follow me on Twitter. Just kidding.
About him.
Okay.
Turner said about
Jimmy Dore. I love me some Jimmy. Me too.
Turner said about me, I think a little while ago, a couple years ago.
And my husband, Jimmy Dore, will be interviewing you soon.
Oh, and I missed
Jimmy Dore. Now I'm meeting the woman.
Yeah.
The brains behind the operation.
Exactly.
Okay, now I know where all that power comes
Are
from.
you kidding? I love that man, and I hear you do too.
I do.
So I am thrilled. All right, I know I'm going to see you in a minute.
Jimmy Dore say stuff that I can't say.
I know.
So he my alter ego.
All right, I'll see you in a little bit. Thank you.
So she said I say stuff she can't say, and that I'm her alter ego. So one of us has changed, and you get to decide which. Turner said about me, I think a little while ago, a couple years ago.
Yeah, Jimmy's changed a lot. Jimmy, you had 1 million subscribers and you changed.
So yeah, I mean, I guess her alter ego is anti-black
Yes.
for sure.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I figured this whole time she was secretly anti-black.
But she definitely said the quiet part out loud. He says stuff I'm not allowed to say. Yeah, because you choose not to say it, Nina. Because you choose not to say it. There was also another tweet too, just really quick, that she pointed out, like in that tweet where she said something about Kyle Rittenhouse. She went on and on. Oh, he says all these anti-black talking points, and he panders to right-wing conservatives, and that's all his audience is. And Kyle Rittenhouse take yada yada yada. And at the end, he's like, and he makes millions doing this, which is just like, bitch, you said happy birthday to Barack Obama, who made fucking millions off of bombing black people in other fucking countries and who destroyed black wealth in this country. What the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about? What are you speaking of? How much money do you have? How much money does Bernie fucking Sanders have? How much money do your friends in the squad have? Seriously? That is fucking wild. It is so wild. How much money do your friends Chank and Anna have on TYT?
This is real. This can't be real. No way. She actually said he makes millions off of this, and she was saying that as like a bad thing.
Yeah.
Pretty sure I just saw that her net worth is like $16 million.
Yeah, but to her, she's not making money off of right-wing talking points and being anti-black and pandering to conservatives. That's her point. That's her point. But what my point is that you have fucking her saying happy birthday to Obama, who made millions off of bombing black people in other countries and destroying black wealth in this country, and not giving black people health care, and not giving them a student debt cancellation, and not being as progressive as he thought. She literally just told him happy birthday the other day. He's living in Martha's Vineyard. What are you talking about? You also have her friends at
She's a big fan
TYT,
of grapes, Emily.
her white friends at TYT, who didn't believe that we should stop bombing Syria. Jimmy Dore is the one that had to convince fucking Jank that we should stop bombing Syria, and he still didn't agree with it. So your friends are making millions off of this shit. Your friends are making millions off of, and so is she. But that's the thing, is like, she's okay with some of it and not other parts of it.
Yeah, you forget about that caveat.
Yeah,
that they're actually being super hypocritical and super biased. So,
which that is how
I forget
you know,
to take that into account sometimes.
Right, which that is how you know, to me, that she's pandering to that professional managerial class, because they'll look at that so surface value-y because they don't know how to do anything fucking else, right? And they'll be like, "Oh, that's awful. That's like it's a class
She
thing,
wants to
y'all."
be propped up and fanned off by the same people that propped up Obama. I mean, at the end of the day, that's really the path that she's headed down. That's the path that AOC's headed down. Ro Khanna definitely headed down that path. We should talk about that motherfucker one day, too.
You have a black capitalist weaponizing racism, so that when real racism happens, no one believes that real anti-black racism is happening.
Yeah.
That was the point of me bringing up, like, what we went through with NAP, was like, that's what I was told by a lot of my organizers, my black organizer friends. They're weaponizing racism against you, because that's what white college kids love to fucking do. And I'm telling you, because I know kids,
their limited intellect allows them to do.
I know kids. I know people that I graduated with who are now out in the professional workforce who do the same fucking shit. That is 100% true. I can tell you for a goddamn fact. That's so true.
Oh, yeah.
That's exactly how they are. They take all of that out into the world and they do it out in the world, and that
RBN,
it doesn't change when you leave college.
Nick made a great point the other day in RBN about this. Just talking about the identity and weaponizing it. That's why they secretly love Jimmy Dore, because when he's out there being public and publicly attacking them, he's never going to stop, and they know that. They can use his identity. They ignore RBN. They just act like they don't exist because they can't use their identity to swipe them aside. They would actually have to go in the trenches and like argue with them, and they know that they would get their asses kicked. So they just act like they don't fucking exist.
Yeah, where's Nina Turner when RBN is they're using haters are using anti-black rhetoric against them?
Crickets. Yeah.
Where is Nina Turner when that one tweet about that Nick got from someone,
I think it was Nick that said that. If it wasn't, I apologize. But it was
probably Nick. That sounds like a Nick thing to say. But the tweet that Nick got from him saying he wasn't going to support Joe Biden about someone calling him, saying that he was racist and he wasn't supporting his fellow black people. A white person said this to him, a white liberal, blue check liberal, saying that to him. He wasn't supporting his own community and he was a racist and he deserves what he gets for not supporting Joe Biden.
Crazy.
Where was Nina Turner when those anti-black comments were made? They're nowhere.
Never,
this is only happening. I'm like convinced that this is only happening because she's on TYT. I don't even know if she would have responded to him if she was just someone who was running for office or was just a political figure with Bernie. I don't even think she would have given it the time of day. I'm not gonna lie, which whatever.
No, it was definitely Jank and Anna came to her with a video. And like, we have this ammo, so feel free to attack over. She was like, okay,
absolutely, and they made a fucking episode out of it.
Oh, yeah.
So,
because their episodes genuinely get more views when they talk about Jimmy.
Oh yeah, they do.
So they
absolutely
needed a reason to talk about Jimmy, and they're like, hey, he's criticizing you now.
Yeah,
you're black.
Or when
he's
you have like
white man,
you have so many white commentators, lefty commentators. Where was Nina Turner talking to them when you had like Sam Cedar fucking running cover for like the CIA? Didn't he do that on the Jackson Hinkle debate? He was like defending the CIA and defending like the establishment police.
I don't remember specifically what he said.
I don't either, but he did. I remember that very, very vividly. And I also remember like seeing this clip of Nico House doing a debate with a white fucking bread tuber. And he was like the white guy was like, you don't support the CIA? Why don't you like the CIA?
Unironically saying it. It wasn't like he was
he was being serious. He was being completely serious. He's like, why would you not support the CIA? Why would you not like the CIA? If you don't trust the CIA, who do you trust?
People should call that guy names.
And Nico was like, dude, I'm a black man. I'm a black man. I don't like the CIA. I don't like the FBI. He's like, what does you being black have to do with not liking the CIA? Like so seriously.
That's not funny. It just sounds like it sounds like an Onion article. It sounds like the Onion being like, black people in America mysteriously hate the CIA and FBI all of a sudden.
Right.
Like that's literally sounds like some bullshit.
But where was Nina Turner when those people were saying that to black people?
Oh, I know.
What the fuck? Okay.
Chilling at Martha's Vineyard.
The last video is
why do we call them vineyards? Sorry.
I don't know. The last video is an RBN clip talking about this issue. So we're just gonna play it and we can stop to in between if you want to. But we're gonna play and listen to what they have to say. React. Well, it's 7 minutes long. So if we do want to stop in between, we can.
Like Jimmy is literally trending right now. Like this is crazy. And then so Nina Turner essentially calling Jimmy a racist. She said, let me be clear, Jimmy Dore repackages anti-blackness in right-wing talking points and sells it in a way that some leftists are willing to buy. Wow. He has used right-wing talking points against me multiple times and even defended Rittenhouse. What right-wing talking points he used it against Nina? Wow. So that's
anything you don't agree with the left establishment is now a right-wing talking point, right? The things that we used to stand for, freedom of speech, freedom of press, not intervening, those are right-wing talking points. What do you mean you don't want to go to Ukraine? You love Putin. You're a right-winger. That's their game. But here's the thing we did talk about. This method doesn't catch the traction it would have about 2-3 years ago. They've overplayed this card, right?
Yeah.
How many times see people in your own network going on a show, and then all of a sudden, the people are trying to exploit them and everything, and Compton J called them out right away. It's like, we're done with the BS right now. We don't want to hear the cheap talk anymore. Just stop it. And then the identity politics attacks on a regular basis, it doesn't work anymore. It simply shows you that a lot of these imperialists on the left, these pro-intelligence FBI people, they can't argue on the merits, right? So what do? Smear, smear, smear. That's actually a tactic from the CIA, but unfortunately, they wore it out.
So I know I'm kind of derailing this, but I just now getting caught up to speed. So he was on your show earlier, and I saw this compilation made. Let me play this video, and we're kind of going off the rails here, but this is fun. So this is his response. I actually did not see this part. I only had a chance to only check like 20 minutes. So let's watch this video. Let's see his response.
It was very disappointing to see her. You can disagree with my criticism, but you got to call someone a racist because they
includes kidnapping, rape, torture, and murder. But sure,
identity politics, and on the other side you have like you're anti-black, you're anti a specific identity in terms of diversity, and suddenly you're racist or you're transphobic or homophobic, etc. And they're kind of deflections that at the end of the day are ways that you don't talk about. What Jimmy brought up is career Democrat, right? It's a way of not talking about capitalism. It's a way of not talking about how they keep fucking over the working class. Suddenly it's like, oh, Jimmy Dore's bringing up the FBI and its awful history of repression against leaders like Fred Hampton, as you and Craig have brought up, who are trying to rally. I mean, Hoover hated both the Black Panthers and the Brown Beret Chicano movement in California. And I've read the FBI files, like, we need to get rid of these leaders or else we might have a revolution in this country. And that was in the 60s because of the militancy. And you had the Chicago DNC, etc. It was a very volatile time. So the FBI was very busy, and there was no mafia because, there was a relationship there too. So at the end of the day, they're not there to serve the working class. So Jimmy brings up the point. It's like, you can't defend an institution that has this kind of history. She does. Why? Because she's a neoliberal. She's not only a Democrat, she's someone who's making money off of this shit. So at the end of the day, of course she's going to protect her, which is why I go back. Depends who's in power. They're going to defend and use the FBI to their advantage.
It's like, I talked about this before, but that pisses me off. Like, that's what we just saw drives me crazy. It's coming from a black leftist. When you listen to Jimmy's criticism, what the hell did race have to do with that? And this is why I put it upon myself to challenge Jim Clyburn, Barack Obama. And this is why I called Nina Turner. And Nina never responds to me because my criticism is too scathing. Because can Nina Turner come around and say, oh, Nick is only targeting me because he's anti-black? That won't work against me. That's why they ignore me. That's why they ignore RBN. When we have our criticism of Nina Turner, we gonna be all right. We gonna be all right. Let's go. Like, that shit, they'll never respond to us, but they attack Jimmy or any person who's not black when they criticize the black progressives. This is why I go after them, because they can't do it against me. That's disgusting. You guys are talking about the FBI. You guys are talking about your positions. You are a Democrat. Jim Crow Joe right now is about to add 100,000 police officers. The Democratic Party is unanimous on increasing the police spending. Joe Biden is about to spend more on the police right now than he did on the crime bill. They got a crime bill 2.0. So what is anti-black is supporting the Democratic Party, supporting the FBI, supporting the police. That's the party that you guys tell us to vote for. Sam Cedar literally said he doesn't care if the police get funded more. Jimmy is one of the few independent media voices I actually do anti-cop videos. So if you support the police, you can't call other people racist, anti-black. You got to be on point on the issues. And if you have issues where on Jimmy Dore stances, I don't agree with Jimmy on everything, but it's fucking the height of shit liberty to then pull the race card out of nowhere instead of address the point.
Live stream.
So it didn't stop there. But I'm going to stop it there because that's pretty much the gist of it. But yeah, again, no lies detected. What they said was 100% right. The real anti-blackness in this country comes from us not doing anything about the economic injustice and oppression that Black people are facing in this country, with lack of health care, with Black women being the #1 holders of student debt in this country, and Joe Biden claiming that he was going to cancel some student debt and ends up not doing so, canceling any of it and not listening to Black women when they choose to rally against that. What is also disgusting is how many Black people have to deal with medical issues from environmental racism, from the Flint water crisis, how you had even Obama gaslighting Black people on the Flint water crisis, and how Flint still does not have clean water to this day. And there's no response to that to fix their water. There's also no healthcare being given to people who deal with environmental racism on a national level, on this big of a scale, when you have Joe Biden even still approving permits for Line 3 and Enbridge's Line 5, and not doing anything about these treaties that have been established by Native communities. So the list goes on and on and on and on. And you know, that's like the real anti-Blackness in this country. Even just the economic hardship that people are facing right now is mostly going to hit communities of color, Black communities specifically. So that is the real economic injustice in this country, and that is the real anti-Blackness in this country. And the fact that Nina Turner is pointing out Jimmy Dore as being anti-Black for having one bad take, which is Kyle Rittenhouse, and having no bad takes on the FBI, is exactly telling of what the Democratic Party has become and is to its core, and why they literally can't be reformed. So yeah.
Nope.
So anything else that you'd like
Zero
to add?
hope for that party. What did you ask? I'm sorry.
Wrapping up, final thoughts.
Oh, yeah, fuck the FBI. Fuck the Democratic Party. Fuck TYT.
Fuck Nina Turner.
Fuck Nina Turner.
And fuck anyone
You
who
know,
is...
fuck everybody while we're at. I'm just kidding.
Just everyone. No.
Oh my god. Yeah. Basically anybody in the two-party system, ding ding ding. Whole key of this thing, right? Sucks and can't be trusted, and are actively working against us.
Mm-hmm.
Probably behind the scenes in like very Machiavellian, like Da Vinci Code type shit going on.
And yeah, just like, especially if you're a white person, like, talk to your fucking racist neighbors, talk to your MAGA supporting neighbors and your family members. Like, this is a moment to radicalize them as a lefty. So please take advantage of it, and please do so. Please.
Yeah. This is the perfect time.
Yeah.
Basically, for the next year and a half, it's going to be a perfect time to radicalize these people. I mean, hey, I get it. Some of them are annoying. Some of them are stupid.
But if we're not going to do it, Trump will, and they
Try.
will continue to go further left or further right if we're not trying to push them further left. And honestly, that's the real danger behind her comments, is like, who is pushing people to the right? Is it Jimmy Dore, or is it the Democratic Party for not offering something to these people to want to come over to our side? Like, we're literally talking about, we have been for the last year, defunding the police. And these people are still going further right because the Democratic Party is fucking feckless and has no fucking answer for them.
Like, I'm of the belief that redemption is a real thing, but it has to be offered. There has to be an avenue for it. If we're going to be the roadblock to people seeing the light, people following a better path, what are we doing here in the first place? What is the point of trying to organize this country if we're only doing with people we agree with and people in our party or ideological base? That's stupid. That's not how the world works. History will look on us very, very poorly if we just allow this to fester and keep going and just give these people the collective finger and just kind of leave them for dead, because their own ideology is going to kill them. You know, they don't know better. A lot of them don't. Some of them are just too far gone. And that's just whatever. We got to live with them though. That's the thing too. They're human beings. Even the too far gone ones, we still have to live with them. Unless what? Should we kill them? Is anybody suggesting that seriously? So I just want to have a serious conversation about this country and where to go. I'm so tired of the childish bullshit. That's really what it is at the end of the day.
It really is. And it's also people protecting themselves. And that's where like these certain classes come into play. Like Nina's protecting her status and her career, and so is every single fucking lefty who is also doing the same fucking thing and believing every single thing that she says and the squad says and the Democratic Party says. They're protecting their status because most likely those people are more privileged than me or you. Even if they're queer, even if they're people of color, they're rich as fuck. And that's when at the end of the day it comes down to being a class issue. And it has to come from that standpoint as well. So yeah, that's
a purple capitalist would still be a capitalist. Doesn't matter, you know. Hey, there doesn't matter what identity people have. They're gonna protect the powers that be that allow them to have all this privilege and have this comfort and live in ignorant bliss of the world crumbling around them. They don't want to face reality. They don't want to. Yeah. Anyway, let's wrap this up.
Anyway, yeah, so that was pretty much that's the gist of the Jimmy Dore drama, I guess. The FBI situation. But yeah, I mean, for real, like the FBI is a very anti-Black organization and institution, and it needs to be abolished.
It's anti-human, but in this country, it's specifically they target the Black Panthers, the revolutionaries.
They target
which
people of color, Black people specifically, people who don't believe in war, lefties, communists. Socialists. They target anyone who doesn't uphold a neoliberal capitalist structure or who calls it out or who is against state violence or is who against war. That's what they're for. The military does that, like stomps that shit out in other countries and also steals resources, and like Department of Homeland Security and the FBI, that's what they do here. That's their purpose, is to do that here. So
perfect.
That's why the tweets were saying that they're a domestic terrorist organization, because they are. So yeah, that's the episode, and hope y'all enjoyed it. Hope y'all learned something from it. We will be back next week talking about the Project Veritas CNN leaking whistleblowing, not really thing, but like exposed video. And yeah, we'll see y'all later. Don't forget to like and subscribe and comment what you thought about the episode, what you'd like to see from more of us. And we'll see y'all next time.
Yep.
Bye,
Peace.
y'all.
Love y'all.